Good. You have George on the phone? Yes. Yes. Okay.
All right, I'd like to call to order Exeter Township's Board of Supervisors meeting September 25th, 2023. Let's all stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to go under announcements here.
You want to do roll call?
Or, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Roll call, Larry.
Supervisor Hughes?
Here.
Supervisor Kircher?
Here.
Supervisor Bell?
Here.
Supervisor Vollmer?
Here.
Everyone accounted for. Bell is on the phone.
All right, under announcements here, Pioneer Crossing Landfill Committee letter. Mr. Hoover.
Thank you. Thank you. I take this as a privilege, serving on the committee down there at the landfill, given the opportunity to present to the police department a check for $25,000. I have a letter here. Only have one copy, so if the board wants a copy, you can give Mr. Hughes a copy. It's addressed to the committee, not the township. Matt Harley, Chief of Police, Exeter Township. Our family is pleased to provide the $25,000 donation for hardworking people of the Exeter Township Police Department to be used as you see fit for safety equipment. This donation is made in the honor for the service provided to our local facility, Pioneer Crossing Landfill, by myself as chairman of the local advisory board. On behalf of the board, I say thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mr. Hoover. We'll move on to public comment on agenda items. Yep. Donna Merritt.
Hello, I'm Donna Merritt from Glenolly Farms, Exeter Township. I was looking over the fire station's website, and I noticed that they were advertising for full-time firefighters with benefits that include medical, dental, and retirement benefits. Are we going professional soon, or is that what's intended?
That was passed in last year's budget for 4 full-time fire departments.
4 full-time firefighters?
Yes.
Okay, so are we going professional, though, or just curious? I don't know.
Not that I know of.
Okay. And then I believe that voting to constrain the discussion time of supervisors down to 5 minutes is both unnecessary and unproductive. There's a lot of discussion that's needed to conclude discussions, so it seems unproductive to me to shut it down to only 5 minutes. That's just my opinion. And then it's also my opinion and that of others that it's a conflict of interest for Mr. Vollmer and Mr. Bell to have anything to do with negotiations with RHM for their contract. First, they received a political donation from RHM for the billboard display, and then it's in complete contradiction of what the solicitor's legal opinion was, that it was acceptable because there would not be any future negotiations. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jack Pieho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jack Pieho, 114 Valley Drive, and you all have my little handouts. Is Pioneer Crossing Landfill. I was curious about the letter. Tom, thank you for doing that because I had it on here and there was no letter attached.
The reason it's attached, it's not addressed to the township. It's addressed to the committee.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yep, got it, yep. Finance Treasury Report, thanks. I'm glad there was a draft for this meeting. I am a little concerned is how much has Exeter had to actually transfer in so far this year to balance or make up for shortfalls in the budget line items. There is notes at the bottom of it, but it's not real clear. There is money that's being moved around for sure. And there's also a loan that was taken from the general fund to help satisfy some of the budget items. Under Solicitor, Donna expressed the same comment that I'm going to. Why 10 minutes? Why 5 minutes? And also, what if you do have a discussion or a debate on a subject matter? It's a back and forth. Does that mean that a supervisor only can make one comment and that's it? That doesn't seem correct. And under general, the recycling bids, will we get to see the RFP and proposals from the recycle contractors? How many bidders were there? Did we have bidders? And the Animal Rescue League, what was attached with the 2023 contract? So I'm sure there's negotiations for a 2024 that will be posted for the residents to look at. And of course, my normal comment, can we have a brief description of the agenda for the topics to be discussed? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitehawk.
Fred Whitehawk, Exeter Township. A couple of things I want to talk about. I was really impressed by the interviews for the people who applied for the supervisor's job. And one of the questions that was brought up, I didn't get an answer to, and something that has been bothering me for a while, is why do we just rubber stamp the disbursements without asking any questions or finding out why we're sending this money out to whoever it is, okay, not just one particular people, but when do you guys question that, or do you question it? Do you just take it as fact, yeah, we had to send these checks out? Now, I understand sometimes, and I've heard you say it, Mr. Chairman, that we owe them the money, let's just pay it. Well, they were older bills. These are pretty much current, okay? And I think you should have some type of insight as to why we're getting charged these things and why we're just rubber stamping and paying them. That's one. Again, I want to piggyback off Donna and what Jack Pio says. One of the things that was brought up during this past meeting last Wednesday was we don't want meetings lasting 3 and 3.5 hours long. We've lost half of that time with the supervisor who resigned. I think that's still going to give us enough time to keep it at 10 minutes, okay? And you want to leave it as the law, 10 minutes, that's great, okay? But I don't think you're going to have the back and forth that we had before. And that's what I think the biggest reason why we want to do this resolution. And I'm against the resolution. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Howell.
Tom Howell, Post Office Box 4635, Reading, Pennsylvania. As far as the interviews, I am really displeased at the fact that one of the interviewers, Clarence Ham, decided on his own to instruct the other people who haven't been interviewed yet about David Hughes's question to the people who were being interviewed. And that's not integrity to me. If you pick that person, I will be extremely upset. The same way you guys going to vote for that person. This is how things were done in the past. Michelle Kirscher knows about Gary Couples, knows about the 2 supervisors who had access to the police department, the one staff person who got almost a $10,000 raise. This is not what we're paying for. The other comment, I am not for or against the fire station. The 2012 discussion on the fire station, we had a special meeting at one of the school districts. there are a lot more than 28 people who are paying the fire tax. I certainly hope this evening we go into extreme details about all the details about the fire station. And is the public, all the public, going to get a chance to offer their opinions? If you go to January 9th, 2012, down to somewhere in May, you'll see all the information from the 2012 fire station information.
Thank you. Jeff Whitman.
Hi, my name's Jeff Whitman. I'm an Exeter Township resident. Jack, not to go against you, but they did have the 2024 ARL on the website. I downloaded it and printed it, and there are basically a couple of things on that ARL document that I did not care for. One is that there's no guarantee to the specify of time of such responses on item number 2. It's B2. They don't have to respond in any set time, even 24 hours. And even a phone call. There's no specific time that they will have to respond. Same on the next item would be item number on B3, that returning to the field of stray animals. I'm really against that. I think that once the animal is taken into custody, it should be dealt with one way or the other, but not released into the field. The item number 5, which is emergency services, has been removed in the 2024 document, period. Again, that one, in the old one, there's no guaranteed time to acknowledge that somebody had a request. There's no time. Number 9 would be the municipal assistance. I wanted to make sure that the township wasn't responsible. It's not stated in there, but it was stated later that they're not employees. Item number 10 is community outreach. It says nothing on there of them helping with educating people about strays and not feeding them and other things that they can do to keep the strays from becoming a problem. That's one of the outreach things I'd like to see. Items D1, it was the ARL employees, and in 2024, the general liability insurance moves to the township, which is A, B, and C. So, but they weren't going to tell you anything until payment was made in full, and I put on here, why not the partial payment? If we take a quarterly payment, we should be, after the first payment, we should be recognized on that. I think that the title of in item number 4, let me go back one, D4, township manager. It should just be township manager, not interim township manager. It should be just township manager. Because in the 2023, Betsy's name was in there, and I didn't know that Larry's name is in there now. Dispute resolutions is removed, and that would be item D12. And then let's move to the fees that they're going to charge you. They're going to increase the fees by 33%, along with us covering their insurance. Not only, but they want to increase our fees to, I saw it on here, but I failed to do it this time. I mean, they have reasons to do this. They're being shortchanged on the donation side, and they can't cover their costs. I understand why, but it still bothers me that after the first year, we're going to have a 33% increase in payments to them. The next item I'd like to talk about is the 5-minute, holding the supervisor to a 5-minute response time. And I think that's plenty of time to make a point. It also allows, the motion allows for the board to extend that time if they see fit. So I don't see a problem with shortening it to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on here to board organization. So we're going to be looking for nominations, and I'm going to go a little out of turn here, but I'd like to nominate Tony Ronaldo. Does any other board member have a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to recommend Amanda Johnson.
Mr. Hughes?
I'll nominate John Pio.
Mr. Bell?
And I'd like to suggest Jeff Whitman.
Does anybody have a second, a person that they'd like to nominate? Mr. Bell?
I do not.
Okay. All right, I guess then we move on to voting. All right, all those in favor of Tony Ronaldo, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then we don't go no's, right? Nope. Okay. And then we move on to Amanda. Say aye.
She wasn't nominated.
Yeah, Michelle nominated her.
Was she?
Yeah. Aye on my side. Okay. Mr. Pieho. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Whitman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
But now what do we do?
Well, you can either go around again and revote, or it gets referred to the vacancy board.
What?
He said either we have to revote or it has to go on to the vacancy board.
Well, I could change my vote. Can I? Can I do so?
You can vote again,
Yeah, we'll vote again then? Unless I hear opposition. Okay.
or you can also ask for other nominations if that's.
Yeah, is there, first I'll ask for more any other nominations?
I have none.
Okay. So then, start here with Tony Ronaldo. All those in favor of Tony, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
That's three.
that's three? Okay. So, Mr. Ronaldo, looks like you're going to be the newest member of the board. Okay. So,
Justice here to swear him in?
I don't believe so. Not-
no,
Or did you forget that?
yeah, I didn't remember that.
Forgot that, yes.
Okay, so, Tony, you'll have to get sworn in from the district justice, and then as soon as you're sworn in. Yeah.
Thank you to the board, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to the presentation from the fire company.
Turn that off for a second. It's not letting me control my computer right now.
Turn this off.
Yeah, turn that off. Thanks.
This going to be posted on the website?
Yes.
Yes, Larry said.
Should have been posted before.
It's all yours.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Chris Jordan, Deputy Fire Chief with the Exeter Township Fire Department. Good evening to the Exeter Township Supervisors, Township Manager, and also the residents. Thank you for the opportunity to present a conceptual plan for the new Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department Fire Station. The new facility is proposed to be centrally located in Exeter Township and also provide 24/7, 365-day fire protection, and is proposed to last the community for more than 50 years. Before we begin, I'd like to give a brief history of how we got to this project. As you will see in the presentation, the Exeter Township Supervisors approved a new fire station concept back in May of 1994. The facility was not built at that time due to budgeting challenges. The proposed project went dormant for many years,
but the concept was once again presented to the Board of Supervisors in early 2012, as Mr. House stated. The supervisors at the time were very receptive to the idea and moved forward with a public forum in April of 2012 at the Rifton School. Unfortunately, no action was taken. Discussions continued the following years into 2013, 14, 15, and even into 2016 with multiple concepts at the existing Exeter Township building site. Over the next few years, the discussion shifted to the Promenade location for the centralized township site for all township entities. This discussion gained traction. However, we're now in the process of selling that Promenade property. So here we are in 2023, back discussing the original location at the current Canine Training Center across the street from the Exeter Township building. The presentation I'm about to give is all conceptual, as you'll see by the presentation. The renderings are conceptual, and the current program that we have to present to you this evening shows a combined fire and EMS facility on the canine property. As we go through, if the board has any questions, feel free to stop me and ask, or we can wait till the end and entertain any questions.
I'd prefer to keep it going, and we'll have all the questions at the end.
Sure. All right, Larry, you want to get the lights? Do you mind getting that one light? Can everyone see it okay? Is that better, worse? Is that better? Okay. So a little bit about the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department. We were officially established on January 1st, 2009, when we officially merged the Rifton Fire Company and the Stonersville Fire Company together. The Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department is completely separate from both of those social quarters. At this point in time, the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department or the township, neither of us own any of our current facilities. The Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department covers Exeter Township and St. Lawrence Borough. It's roughly 27 square miles, 29,000 residents, and we currently operate out of 2 stations, Rifton and Stonersville. Currently, we average over 1,200 calls per year, and we have over 80 active members, both volunteer and career. And just quickly to address Ms. Merritt's concern about the hiring of the paid staff. We've had paid firefighters in our township for almost 40 years. Those paid firefighters are to supplement the daytime staffing when the volunteers are at its lowest, and it ensures the residents that we put people on the street during those daytime hours. Currently, the positions that were approved by the board in last year's budget are just to replace the current part-time positions that we have in place now. And the reason for that is because instead of having a part-time firefighter, this establishes a full-time position which ensures that that person will be there and not leave that part-time position to go to their full-time job. But again, those positions were budgeted, and they're to replace positions that have been in place for multiple years. It's not addition to. So currently, Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department is unique, and one of the things we pride ourselves on is that we have members in station 24/7, 365. So during the evening hours, we have members in station from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and the ideal number of people in the station would be 6. So we'd have, 5 people in station, 6 responding at all times. So we'd have 2 volunteer drivers, 3 volunteer crewmen, and 1 officer in charge that responds from their residence. And during the daytime hours, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., as I stated, they're covered by 5 housemen, which right now are currently 5 part-time paid positions. And then we have additional members that could stay in the station or they can respond from their house. Benefits of the in-house staffing program: it eliminates the time to respond from a volunteer's house to the fire station and to respond directly to an emergency incident. It's less costly than a fully paid fire department. It reduces pressure on members to respond to every emergency response, and it controls expenses related to emergency responses. So this is the article I was referring to. This is from 1994. The Exeter Supervisors actually approved plans for a third fire station at the time, where that would be located at the, what's currently the Canine Training Center. So if you look at the proposed map, if you can get your bearings, the 12th hole of the Reading Country Club is right here. Here's the Exeter Township building. This is the current Canine Training Center where the proposed building would go. And then this is the Reading Hospital building and the intersection of DeMoss and Gibraltar Road. And again, this is the original option that was presented back in 1994, but also in 2012, and multiple meetings after 2012. That is the original location of the centralized station. A little bit of a close-up of what it would look like. This is Gibraltar Road right here. So Shelbourne Road will be up in this area. This is just an overhead view of what the property could look like. Again, these are just renderings that we've gotten from architects. And this is what the inside of the floor plan would look like of the facility. As stated, there's room for ambulances. We know the challenges that they have in their current facility, but it also provides room for fire apparatus. There's room for training areas and also the potential for a community meeting area. Some of the benefits of this location, we're estimating that it will reduce our response times to over 50% of Exeter residents. This helps increase life safety of our members, but also it's on the eastern side of Exeter Commons. We all know how challenging it is to get through that area at certain times of the day. And it provides easy access to Route 422 and also Route 562 if you would head up Shelbourne Road. It's also close to the Exeter Township building, which provides centralized emergency services with EMS, police, and emergency management. And it also allows for increased communications with township officials. The cost analysis on the building, we've received estimates that the total project would cost between $10 and $15 million. We've explored numerous revenue options, and we do have some funding in place already for when the project was originally proposed. We could look at local business pledges, naming rights, buy a brick or a paver program. We also have a $5 million grant waiting for approval through the RCAP funds, which will be approved by the state. So when the time comes to apply for that grant, that could help out with at least $5 million towards the project. And just for reference, a 0.1 mil tax increase generates approximately $130,000 per year. And this is the cost estimate that was provided to us by KCBA, who was the original architectural firm that worked with us in 2012 and also worked on the Promenade project. So as you can see here, there's a construction cost, a site work cost, the design cost, construction contingency plan, and also some of the soft costs, which include permits, insurance, furniture, furnishings, things of that nature. And right now, they gave us two separate estimates. One was 13.7, and the other was closer to 16 million. But we feel it could fall between 10 and 15 million at this point. Why we need the new building. Reduced response times, which we already talked about, life safety for residents and the first responders. Also, the current facilities that we have are extremely outdated. Many of the supervisors have taken tours of the facilities. We've showed private residents tours of the facilities. We've showed candidates for supervisors the facilities, and a lot of them understand why some of these issues have become major problems. Currently, we have 3 to 5 members in station and basically 1 bathroom area. We don't have any room to expand at these facilities. The Rifton facility is currently landlocked, where we have no room to expand. The Stonersville facility could potentially have some expansion possibilities, but quite frankly, it's out far away from the populated areas, which causes increased response times, and right now is not something that's feasible. We had 10 new recruits since June 2022, and we don't have space for them for their gear, so we currently ask them to keep their gear with them. And the bigger problem is we are currently losing existing staffing members due to the space constraints and the lackingness of our facilities. The proposed plan after the building is built, right now we'd have a main station at the Moss and Gibraltar Road, which would house a tower ladder and 2 rescue engines. The Rifton station would basically be placed out of service, or would house 1 reserve engine, which could potentially be used for people that live close by to that station. And the Stonersville station, which again is out in the middle of nowhere, where there's no fire hydrants. There's an ISO rating that would require us to keep at least 1 tanker out there and potentially another a piece with water to make sure that the residents out there are protected with enough water to sustain, fire attack if their residence would catch on fire. And this is just a conceptual layout of the facility that was provided to us. An apparatus room, a gear area, SCBA storage. So one of the things we wanted to point out here, the new facility would offer a separate area for women's bunk room, locker room, and also shower facility. Currently at the stations we have now, men and women are commingled in those areas. Becomes very challenging for the leadership, but also there are some people that don't feel as comfortable being in those commingled facilities. Just some other areas, communication center, training classroom and EOC. Currently our training area holds approximately 20 people comfortably, so we can't hold an adequate meeting there. And the new facility could hold upwards of 70 people. Could also help potentially be used for some larger township meetings or things like that, where it would be a facility where we don't have people standing out in the hallways and things of that nature. And the approximate square footage, as you can see at the bottom, would be right around 20,000 square feet. Could be a little bit bigger, could be a little bit smaller, but this is just conceptually where we're looking at, right around that range. And some frequently asked questions. Which areas of the township would have a reduced response time? I've listed a bunch of different neighborhoods in here. Colony Hill, Gristmill Farms, Country Club Estates, Wingspread, Pathfinder. I've also listed the reduction in response times. So for a community like Wingspread or Pathfinder, we could be looking at a 4 to 3 minute reduction in the response time, which, as many of the people in the audience know, that's huge when you're talking about a fire scene. Lorraine Orchards, Pheasant Run, I could keep going. Eastwick, Linstead, Long Pond, basically anything east of Exeter Commons would have a reduced response time with the new facility. And the main reasons for the new fire station, to solidify the future of our current in-station staffing and living programs to help avoid a substantial tax increase, and also provide a faster and more efficient response to the emergency incidents and increase life safety. One of the other things we looked at is that's the solar path. We could potentially put solar panels on the building if that was an option. And that is the end of the presentation. So we appreciate you giving us the time, and we'll field any questions.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
So I'd like to get some more information in detail. For example, you said 1,200 calls a year. I'd like to see what that's comprised of. Is it fire? Is it accident? How many of them are inside Exeter? How many are you going out and assisting our neighbors? So just saying 1,200, I think it would help me to understand what you're facing if I have a better idea of what those are.
And we can
Does that make
provide
sense?
that information to you.
Does that make sense?
Chief Bickings provides a report every month to the fire department which shows those numbers. We can provide an annual report for that. I can give you some rough numbers that 90% of our incidents are in Exeter Township.
I'd
and St.
rather
Lawrence
see
Borough.
the actual factual detail.
We
if
can
you don't
gladly
mind.
get it to you, no problem.
Can I go on? I have a couple, one or two other questions.
Go ahead.
I requested a couple, at least once, to attend some of your meetings, and I was basically told no, that Mr. Vollmer was the liaison and you didn't need me to come to your meetings. I don't think that's fair. I think if a board member.
Who did you
was-
request that to? You didn't request it to me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was the chief.
Potentially, it wasn't me.
Someone. told
I've
me
received
that.
zero communication from you
So
about
are
attending a
you
meeting.
saying, I don't want to get in a debate with you, are you saying that I can attend your meetings?
Which meetings would you like to attend? Our department
Well, how
meetings? No,
many-
you cannot.
Your board? or
Our
your
fire
board-
department meetings, they're private for our fire department members.
I see. Even though we donate over $1 million a year to you,
I mean, I guess we could get a special
he
exemption.
could do it. Oh, that would be great, special
I'd have to talk
exemption.
to our board of
I love
directors.
that. I
No,
love that.
Supervisor Vollmer could not attend that meeting without a special exemption.
Okay, what meetings, all right, let's get that. What
Sure.
meetings was he the liaison to?
We had a meeting discussing the building.
No, before that, before this part, he was a liaison last year to your meetings. What meetings were those?
I'll answer that, Mr. Hughes. I didn't attend any meetings. I coordinated with Chief Bickings
Okay. what
through
I'm
the
trying
phone
to
and
do
through
is-
email, so I didn't attend any meetings.
What I'm trying
So,
to do is.
just letting you
input
know.
us into their thought processes in their meetings. This shouldn't be secret stuff. I mean, is only the CIA allowed
Can
to
I-
go there or what?
Can I answer this?
Sure, yes, go
So
ahead.
Mr. Hughes, we've established the Fire Advisory Board. Those meetings will be organized very quickly. And what we'll be doing is the Fire Advisory Board, as you know, has been created to help offer guidance to the fire department. So we'll be having those hopefully on a quarterly basis in conjunction with the liaisons from the community.
Well,
And they'll be public meetings.
and these two guys have given themselves the right to be the liaisons, George Bell and Mr. Vollmer. And I'd like to see it the other way around. Whoever your chairman is will come and report to this board, because I can tell you, they've been liaisons in several different areas, and we've never gotten a report from our liaisons. So if you want community support, you've got to be transparent, okay? So that's just one of my comments. Now I have one more question for you, okay? I don't know if I'll ever be able to attend your meetings or not. That's up to the secret society. But in February of 2013,
Yes.
okay, there was a motion, your father asked the board to give you a written authorization sanctioning the project to use marketing and fundraising campaign. And the board at that time made a motion, they passed it for you to do that. And so now it's been roughly 10 years later. How much have you raised so far? Because I've asked for your balance sheet and I never get it.
Who do you ask?
Who have I asked?
Who have you asked?
Our manager, and the manager before him. I asked-
I can't answer why they haven't provided that. We provide the township with financials every month.
they provide us with some kind of income statement or spending statement, and what I got in lieu of a balance sheet was a reconciliation of a checking account. That's not a balance sheet. Now, if you'd like, I could come over and train and show you what a balance sheet is. But really, let's get back to my question.
I don't want to have your training, but thank you.
How much have you raised since
So
February of 2013?
Sure. So currently, in the municipal complex fund, there's $1.1 million.
No, you didn't raise that. That was
Relax.
provided by
gonna
Mr.
give you the
Mr. Hughes,
answer.
let
gonna give you
Mr.
the
Jordan
answer.
speak.
And-
Hold on, I
and-
want to give him the clear,
He understands what you're talking
I-
about, so let him speak,
how do you know that?
because he just
I
said
asked
it.
the question.
Okay, let me,
Just please be quiet, Mr. Hughes, and let Mr. Jordan
let
speak.
me reverse
Excuse
it.
me. Yes,
Let me
sir.
reverse it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
In the Exeter Township Volunteer Fire Department funds, I'll say those first. We've raised $428,000 that is sitting in an account that has been earmarked for the new building and is also,
On your books.
correct.
Okay.
It's earmarked for the new building. It's been raised through hard work from Chief Jordan, myself, other people on the committee, through grants, through local, getting different people to help sponsor.
Now, that's all I wanted to know. And
Well, I
I had
was
to
gonna
go
get
through
there.
both of you guys
I was going to get there.
debating with that, but
But
that's all I
then
wanted to know.
I also want to
thank you
let,
for the
I would
answer.
also like to let you know that we also have $1.1 million in a municipal complex fund waiting to be used for the project.
I'm
and-
well aware of that,
And
sir.
I-
Thank you.
and I'd like to make you aware that you say we didn't raise that money, but we did work very hard. Again, Chief Jordan, myself, previous boards, we worked very hard to help solidify relationships to get some of those funds for the project.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
I would,
Go ahead, Michelle.
Everything's got to be,
I have been involved almost way back in the early 90s, involved with the putting together Stonersville and Rifle. And there was a lot of hard work done there, a lot of thought for what's for the future. And I'm just glad that it's time that we get this building up there. I don't know what more I can do. I was on a committee, but I'll be happy to help you any way I can, because I know how important this is to our community. And I want to thank everybody involved for all the years of hard work that you have done and stayed with Exeter residents to give them proper fire service. So thank you to the whole department. I commend every one of you.
George, do you have any questions?
Thank you, and sorry, Chief, not to be there today. I actually have pneumonia, and I'm very sorry not to be present, but thanks for the presentation. And David, Chairman Vollmer, David, I would just see what tangible next step we could make as a board consideration for the next meeting, if we get something on the agenda where at least the board can do a deliberation here on getting things moving and not just seeing the presentation.
Okay, that sounds good. Did you hear that, Larry?
Yes.
Okay. And Michelle, do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay.
I think that before the board does that, we should have a meeting for the public so that they could come out and express their opinion.
This is just the first step, Mr. Hughes,
Oh, gee, excuse me, sorry.
to keep things moving.
Sorry I expressed an opinion, excuse
No,
me.
it would be a great thing to discuss at deliberations at the next meeting. I think it's a great idea. Okay. I appreciate your time, Chris, and if you don't have anything further,
No, but we would welcome whatever needs to be done. We'll make ourselves available for whatever meeting. Just let Larry know, let us know when it's going to be on the agenda or what information you need further than what we presented this evening.
sounds good.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 11th, 2023?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I can second.
All right, any discussion?
I have none.
Hearing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes for September 11th, 2023, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
3-1 vote. All right, looking for a motion on the disbursements for September 25th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the disbursements for September 25th, 2023.
And the chair seconds that. Any discussion?
I have discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
I've looked at a couple of the items. Someone earlier asked why we're not looking at these things and talking about them, and each of us should be doing our due diligence. One thing that caught my eye was Total Recycling, Inc. Do you know what that's all about? Total Recycling, do you know what that invoice is for?
No, I'd have to talk to Mr. Pearsall about that.
No. Do you, Michelle, know what that invoice is for?
I'm sorry, which invoice?
Total Recycle, Inc.
That is for, yeah, we have them all the time.
Michelle, we can't hear you.
I'm trying to remember, I'm sorry. I have so many different things that we work with.
Total Recycle, that's the part of mascara that we use for our recycling guys.
Yeah, for our recycling, yes, I do know that. But I don't know what the specific.
So what's important is to understand what this is. They're sending us a bill for $9,327.82. And we're going to be talking about this tonight in the bidding, but I wanted everyone to understand how this works. So there's a calculation where they collect the recyclables. And then every month, they determine the commodity prices, okay? And then whatever income they had for the month from collecting and processing, they then deduct what they've given us as a fixed cost, which we're going to talk about later. So when you take the income minus the fixed cost, we had to pay an additional $68 and some change for each ton that they processed in the month of August, and that's what this bill is for, okay? So you need to be aware of that when we talk about the bidding, and that's why I picked this particular invoice to review with you. Any questions about that one?
No.
Okay. So I also looked at Construction Masters Perkiomen Avenue Phase 3. We paid them $61,326.75. The copies of the invoice that I was given, I mean, you can't read them unless you're Superman with X-ray vision. But my concern is your former colleague, Mr. Gardella, made a big deal out of monitoring them and getting updates. And we've never had an update here, really, of where we are in Phase 3, how much we spent, how much we might, are we over budget, are we under budget? Talking with the manager here, he thinks we might be under budget, but we don't know that until we look at the numbers. And we should be following this because, like I said, your colleague made a big deal when Phase 1 and Phase 2 was done. We had a surprise of, over budget. So I looked at that one. Then I looked at Harold Boone and Sons water heater repair at the library, $2,427.86. So I know we have a line item to give them money, but I'm not sure what the total cost is that we're spending for repairs and incidentals, and that's something I think we should look at too. After all, that's really a contribution to the library as well. I looked at Schnee Legal Services for $1,759.45 and their $45,000 check, which, again, we're trying to pay too early.
I did check into that. Basically, it's to approve it for now, but the due date is before the next meeting, so we'll be holding it to the due date.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. I looked at the DoubleTree for 5 invoices that we paid them that totaled $18,000. And I think I've handed out the last, near the end of what we've done with them. So that we've paid them in the 1 year, which ends at the end of this month, $465,767, and we've received thus far $93,000. So it's about 4 to 1. Every $5 that go in there, they get 4, we get 1. I also was looking at the title list invoices. We bought over $5,500 worth of golf equipment, mostly golf balls. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Okay, it really wasn't supposed to be a report. It was supposed to be questions and discussion for the disbursements. Any more discussion?
No.
All right, all those in favor of approving the disbursements for September 25th, 2023, say aye.
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 No.
George, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I had said aye. My voice is not great. I'm sorry.
All right, a 3-1 vote. All right. Anything for zoning and planning, Larry?
Not tonight.
All right. Move on to administration discussion around purchase new laptops or tablets for the board.
I was wondering if we could discuss this at the next meeting. I did get some prices, but nothing was confirmed.
Okay. So we'll table that. Anybody have opposition to tabling that till the next meeting?
No.
All right, discussion and possible action on the employee golf cart policy.
Jen will be talking about that.
Good evening. So I wrote this policy working with Kevin and Eric over at the country club, and this is to discuss employee expectations and the operations and responsibilities for the golf carts over at the country club. This is up for you guys to let me know how you feel about it, any changes or revisions you would like, because I know you guys wanted to see the policies first, you wanted to talk about them, and then possibly approve them. So I'm open to hear if you would like any changes made, and then unless you would like to approve it this evening.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, I think, we pay this guy a lot of money, Mr. Annawalt, to manage the golf course. And I'd like to have him here to talk about the policy. Why all of a sudden do we need a policy? We've been operating this golf course for quite a few years.
I think Jennifer, being HR, can answer that question for you.
I think the guy that manages the golf course, I'd like to talk to him. He's the manager of the golf course. You don't manage the golf course, do you?
I do not, but I do work with the department heads to find and review policies that need to be written, and one of my job responsibilities is to find those gaps, and we needed to have that documented. So I did, again, work with Kevin and Eric. I made a draft, they reviewed it, they provided the guidance and revisions, and then it's brought to you guys.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. It's really a nice policy. I
Thank
think
you.
you covered everything.
Thank you.
You have any discussion there, George?
No, I'm fine with the way it is.
All right, I'll make a motion then that we approve the golf cart policy. Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
All right, any other discussion on this? Hearing none, calling a vote. Those all in favor of the new employee golf cart policy, say aye.
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 Yeah.
Those opposed?
No.
3-1 vote.
Thank you.
All right, move on to finance here. Discussion and possible action of our two $10 million CDs maturing on September 23rd, 2023. So Larry, if you could just walk through the rates there.
I'm trying to pull them up right now, but unfortunately, this computer is not working for me. But they were sent to you at the meeting before that we had, that special meeting.
Yep.
Oh, never mind, I have them here. So we have two CDs that are due. As a matter of fact, they're past due now since today is the 25th. So the rates are still the same. So a 3-month CD is 5.2%. A 6-month CD is a 5.3%. A 9-month CD is 5.25%, and a 12-month CD is 5.2%.
Okay, do I have a motion on what to do with these two $10 million CDs?
I can make a motion to renew both of them for the 6 months for now.
I will second that.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, I think that is too long of a period. We already know what the Fed has said, that they expect to raise rates again before the end of the year. So I think we should consider a shorter period of time. And they've also said that that may be the last increase. But then we might want to consider a longer term. But right now, 6 months, we'll probably lose out. I don't know how much they're going to raise, probably a quarter of a point, something like that. But we don't lose out by doing a shorter period of time. Those rates are pretty good.
Mr. Bell, would you entertain an amendment?
I personally don't see the need to.
Okay, so then we'll call the vote. All those in favor of renewing the two $10 million CDs for 6 months, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. George?
I was an aye, sorry.
Okay. All those against?
No.
Okay, 3-1 vote. All right, move on. Let's see here. August draft treasurer's report. Discuss anything on there, Larry?
As you see, it's in draft form right now because we still have the issue at the country club for the golf, which we should have resolved real soon, so. I don't know if you have any more questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
I don't know what happened to our original treasurer's report, which was in a format that is favorable to the public. When they look at it, they can understand it. This is the kind of report it's just a basic report that's printed out that an accounting person would understand how to read this. But the public, I think the general public would have trouble reading it. Why are we doing this? I mean, we had the report that was, user-friendly for the public. This is not user-friendly.
Okay, can I make a suggestion that, could you put together the way you want the report done? Then we can give it to Larry's
Do
team.
it the way that it's always been done in the past.
But can you please put together the information, and then we can provide it to the team, and if they can't do the report internally, we can hire a team to create that report. But I need your help, because you're the one that's criticizing the report. So I'd like to have you give us exactly what you want, and then we'll make it happen.
Let me talk to the team. Give me the name of the person I need to talk to, okay?
Provide the information to Mr. Pearsall, exactly what you want, and then we'll make it happen. We're supposed to work together as a team. We work through the township manager. So if you could provide that, that would be a great thing, because then you'll have it exactly the way that you need it.
Well, nothing's changed. Why has it changed? I'm asking that question.
Maybe that's a software update?
When we talk with the staff, we'll understand why then. I don't know why either. I haven't asked the question.
Okay,
I would like to comment.
go ahead, Michelle.
Even though that's the way you want.
You have her talk into the mic, please.
Hello? Even though the way that David wants it, I think that we should all review it and not just give him a generalized okay for it.
No, I think it's, if we get the base where he likes it, and then we can all add some value if we see we can change it up and make it better.
Okay, thank you.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I think a meeting or two ago, we voted to put this under approvals, as we always have done. There are other townships that approve their treasurer's report.
Well, currently it's in draft form, so I think that's the reason why Mr. Pearsall didn't put it under the approvals, because we can't approve it in the draft mode.
We've always approved it in a draft mode, subject to audit. Subject to audit.
Right, but it's not even complete, so how could we approve it if it's not complete right now? Because there's still issues with the golf course and the golf finances being in the report. Any other discussion on that? All right, we're going to move on to solicitors. Go ahead, Chad.
Sure. So we have a ordinance that was advertised, proposed ordinance for tonight. The only change would be that it would limit the time for comments for Board of Supervisors down from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. One of the things that I think some of the commenters mentioned here tonight was what happens if there is a desire for more than 10 minutes. The ordinance language says that if there's an affirmative vote by a majority of the Board of Supervisors, that time can be extended. So it certainly can go over 5 minutes if the majority of the board so supports that.
And just for clarity too, it's 5 minutes per time?
5 minutes per time, correct.
Currently, we have a two-time.
Correct, yeah. So it is one time is 5 minutes, and each supervisor, just as it is currently now, can only speak 2 times without affirmative vote by a majority of the board.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion for the proposed ordinance 2023-860?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have discussion.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
This is a continuation of trying to suppress voices, to try to limit debate, to try to be less than transparent. It's been Mr. Schnee's and I think George Bell, when they changed Chapter 65, this was a continuation of suppression of what we do. If we are a good board and we care about this community, it doesn't matter how long it takes us to discuss an issue, even if we want to talk 3 or 4 times about it. You know, it's just a natural thing. I've been on boards where we don't do this kind of thing. What it is suppression. And we've got to stop this, and there's only a couple ways that we can stop this. I won't go into that, but my vote on this is no. There's no need for it. If we are intelligent adults, the discussions will take their own course. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, any comments?
No.
Mr. Bell?
Well, I'm happy with 2 rounds of 5 minutes as the norm. That's plenty of time. I'm fine with it.
Yep. Okay. Give you my perspective. I think 2 rounds of 5 minutes is plenty of time. I mean, we're supposed to know, and if we're asking questions, we can elaborate on this and vote on it. But this is going to stop people from just talking and talking and talking, because I can get my point across in under 5 minutes on everything that I think about. And if I don't,
I believe that.
I'd ask the board for time to extend that. So this is, one of the things too, to help reduce the time of the meetings. I know without our other board member, that has greatly decreased as well. So, this is just to keep things moving. If we see that there's a problem, we can always throw it back on here and change it. So I'd like to see where it goes, just to give you my perspective and why I'm going to vote yes on this. So all of those in favor of the proposed ordinance 2023-860, limiting time for comments by Board of Supervisors members to 5 minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No. Remember this on
3-1
November
vote.
7th, people.
All right, Public Works?
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, if I could just mention very quickly, we had 3 right-to-know law appeals issued, or decisions issued by the Office of Open Records. All 3 of them were either denied or dismissed, so the township has won all 3 of those right-to-know law appeals, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're a big winner there.
Mr. Pierce, Mr. Hughes, you're out of line.
Sue me.
Act professional, just like you just spoke about. Go ahead, Mr. Pearsall.
For the Public Works, we're currently working on trees. We're done with the paving project for the summer, and also doing some repair to some roads, patching some potholes and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Parks and Rec?
Nothing at this time, but we will have something for the next meeting about a grant that was awarded for our Parks Department, so.
All right, Chief, the police report.
Again, Glenn, I'd like to personally thank you for the money. I can tell you that the $25,000 will go to good use. A lot of times when we do a project, we get a quote, and sometimes those projects will go succeed over, when we finish the project, it's more money than we expected, and we always can use this money for backup plans and for special equipment for the officers, and we're forever grateful. So thank you for the money, and we really, really appreciate it as a police department. I'd like to just go over our August report for the month. So we were very busy in August. We had 1,863 calls for the month of August. It's 60. We averaged 60 calls per day as a police department. Out of those 1,863 calls, we had 83 criminal arrests. Some of the top crimes of the month was we had 4 assaults, we had a burglary, 27 thefts, 6 motor vehicle thefts. So make sure you keep your cars locked and not the keys in them. Take the keys out of them at night. We had 2 weapons offenses, 26 drug arrests, 16 DUIs. We had a gambling arrest, 3 disorderly conducts, and 17 miscellaneous. Out of the crashes, we had 67 crashes this past month. We wrote 747 citations, 252 warnings. And the GJ fines totaled $19,336. Just like to give the board a little bit of an update. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll be finishing up our training for the body-worn cameras. We have everything installed, the server. So we're just finishing up the policy. So by the end of this month, we'll be going with our body cameras, full blast.
Great.
We started the project of installing our weigh and motion scale. We'll be the first department in Pennsylvania to have the weigh and motion scale. So thanks to Larry for helping me with this project, with installing it and saving the costs, keeping the costs down. I can tell you the rest of the costs will be used with the Mascaro money that we got before, so that's why I greatly appreciate that. And that's all I have for this report.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the Reading Country Club here. Discussion of the RHM contract negotiation. I'd like to make a motion that we allow Mr. Pearsall to do all contract negotiations and then bring it to the board for approval.
I'd like to be part of those negotiations. I have experience.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
All right, is there discussion? Hearing none, take a vote here. All those in favor of allowing Mr. Pearsall to do the contract negotiations with RHM, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
All right, 3-1 vote. Monthly reports. Is there anything on that, Larry, that you have?
Not at this time.
All right, how about manager's report here?
All right, so basically, we're getting questioned. Some people want to know, is it for sale? Did we sell it? And plus, I also received a phone call at the end of the day Friday that the fence that is up there that we leased when we purchased it, or when the buildings were demoed, it was a 2-year lease. It was extended. I believe they said like 6 months ago, and that is up at the end of September. So I didn't know, for one, if the fence, if we want to keep on leasing it. They didn't give me a number because they want to look at the material that is up there right now for the fence. And plus, I didn't know where we stood with the Promenade, if it was up for sale or we wanted to go through the bid process, or not at this time.
I guess, do I have a motion to put the Promenade up for advertisement for bids?
I'll make that motion.
The chair seconds. Any discussion?
I have discussion. We've
Go ahead,
tried
Mr.
this
Hughes.
before and we failed. We put it in the budget for $2 million to sell it under the, I don't know, the ludicrous idea of our former manager that we would sell this to fill in the $2 million deficit in our budget, without thinking, well, what do we do next year? We sell another Promenade, or we sell something else? It's absolutely crazy the way we're doing our budgets and our financing. We bought it for $2.5 million, and she was trying to sell it for $2 million. We have about $500,000 more into it for $3 million. The commercial market, the bottom is falling out, and you want to sell this. You know, it's a smart thing, and it wouldn't hurt us to hold on to this property, let inflation increase the value, and the people of Exeter Township can profit by this. There's no reason why we need to sell this right now, and we're not going to get a good price right now. So I don't know who's pushing this idea, but I think you guys should really reconsider.
Any other discussion on that? I'll give you a perspective of mine. I remember last year, Mr. Hughes was the biggest proponent of selling this because he said if we didn't sell it, a new municipal complex would be going in. So I don't know if he changed his mind now about the new municipal complex going in up at the Promenade.
Point of order, sir, point of order. I want to direct you to chapter 65, where it disallows us to question another supervisor's motives. You guys wrote that. So you're questioning my
Okay,
motives. Listen, economics change. What could be good for last year
Okay, I got the
is not
floor
good
now.
today.
I heard you, Mr. Hughes, so I won't continue on that point.
How about
But
ruling on the point of order?
You were correct, Mr. Hughes. I'll withdraw my statement on that. In perspective, I'd like to see if we could get this sold this year, put it out for one more try, because the market is still in the higher end. I think the bottom's going to fall out of the market in the next year or two, and I think then we might be holding on to this property for a really long time, and I don't want to see that happen to the residents. So that's why I am in favor of selling this right as soon as we can. So since there's no other, George, you have discussion?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. So all of those in favor of doing the advertisement for bids for the sale of the Promenade, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
3-1 vote. All right, I'll move on here to the Animal Rescue League. I'd like to make a motion on this to reject the Animal Rescue League's of Berks County contract. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to provide some information for the board before
Sure.
making this vote.
Yep, sure thing.
So, just so the public understands what's going on, is that on September 7th of this year, we received information from Animal Rescue League that they're going to be changing some of their methods and making a significant increase in their prices. So currently, the township pays $2.50 per capita, so that's per resident. They want to increase it to $3.33 per capita. That's a 33% increase.
So it's roughly $65,000 compared to $86,580.
Yes, so this year, we're looking at possibly, $65,000 contract. If we would go with that increase, it'd be $86,000. Just to give you a little bit of details, just so you understand, we had, for the police department, total of 18 calls for service. This is the calls we had. I want to pass it around, Larry. 18 calls when the police were, in a situation where we found a dog or we made an arrest and we had an animal in the house or in a car, we had to call Animal Rescue League. So it was 18 times. And out of that 18 times, there was, total for the township, there was 38 times. So 18 for the police and total of 38. And there was a total of 153 animals that they had to take control of. But one of our calls, we had over 50 animals because we arrested a lady for retail theft, and there was over 50 rabbits in the car, minivan. So out of the 153 calls, 50 of them were rabbits. So, we're looking at roughly I apologize, it was 42 rabbits. So we had a total of 90 cats, 21 dogs, 42 rabbits, a reptile, and a rodent. So they were the animals that we had for the year. So you're looking at, I mean, it's a lot of money for just each animal. So I just thought, I had several discussions with Larry, and we're also looking for alternatives to try to come up. And we also were in a discussion with Animal Rescue League to maybe see if they could change their prices. So as it stands right now, it just seems like a lot of money.
I got you. I'd like to add some more things here. And Mr. Whitman brought this up in his public comment, that they removed emergency services. So this was one of the primary reasons that I voted for the Animal Rescue League last year, is because the chief said that he needed a facility to be able, if they had a search warrant, if they arrested someone and they had a dog in the car and it was after hours, and now they removed that. Now it has to be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Anything after that, they don't come out. And they also don't have a timeline of when they need to respond. So if chief did a search warrant, had a dog in a house, removed the subject, and the dog was still in the house, we wouldn't know when they were going to come. The other big thing for me was, other than price, was that now the township is responsible for the liability and the insurance on their employees. Not our employees, their employees. It's a new statement. So that was a big concern, because I put both contracts side by side and I read them down, and they removed a lot of things that were a benefit. That's the reason why we went with them last year. And this year they removed those things. And it looks like possibly next year they're going to go to $7 per person, which any new contract, they stated that it's $7 per person if any new township now goes to them. So this is a big concern to me, because right now it cost us, for these 38 calls, it was $1,300 a call. That's what we paid. And if we had the same number next year, it'd be about $2,200 a call. That's $2,200 for a stray cat. That's what we're going to pay for. So, I don't know what the right option here is, but I know it's not this option, because we have to figure out how we're going to manage this, because we do have stray animals, we do have dogs and cats running around the township that need to be addressed. But at this cost, we could hire a full-time employee to do this. So I don't know what the right answer is yet. I know Chief and Mr. Pearsall are working on it, together, to see if they can come up with some options. And I'd really like to see some other options, because we need to have something for the community. But for $86,500, that's why I want to reject this contract. And also because of the insurance reasons, and because they stopped the emergency services, all of the things that made them the reason why we went with them, and now it's no longer there. So I just wanted to give you my perspective on that. Michelle?
No, I agree with you.
Mr. Bell?
Yeah, I hate to say, because I'm an advocate for the organization, but this contract offer is an insult, actually, and I actually don't take the contract seriously, so there's no way I'm voting for it.
Okay. Mr. Hughes, you have anything to add?
No comment.
Okay. I guess so then what we'll do is now we'll call the vote. All those in favor to reject the Animal Rescue League's contract, say aye.
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 A 4-1 or 4-0 vote. All right, shit. Sorry, I got too many papers here.
Trick or treating.
What's that? Trick or treating. Larry?
Yeah, so basically, every year, we always designate a day for trick or treating. Sometimes we went 2 days, but majority of the time, we only been doing one. So I'm asking the board for a recommendation of, since Halloween falls on a Monday this year, do they want to keep it on Monday? Do you want to move it to a Saturday or a Sunday? So I was looking for the board's.
What's your recommendation?
I look at it as Halloween, and we keep it that, and maybe do 5 to 9 or 6 to 9.
You have any input there, Chief?
I agree. I think we should just have it one night. I find over the years that if we have multiple nights, we have more vandalism. We get to have more coverage, that we can have one night from 5 to 9. Allows the younger kids, if you start at 5, allows the younger kids to come out with their families, and they can, they have 4 hours trick or treat. I believe that's plenty. It's my recommendation.
I believe it's a Monday, isn't it, Larry? Or is it a Tuesday? Tuesday, it's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry about that.
I guess, do we need a motion on that, or? is that just something?
No, we're just looking for board.
It sounds like you guys have it worked out. So 5 to 9 on Tuesday. Does any board member have opposed to that? So it looks like that's what it is, 5 to 9.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, George. All right, I guess we're looking, review and possible action here on the recycling bids. I guess, can you give us some background on that, Larry?
Yes, so we did have the bid for the processing for the recycling due Friday at noon, and plus we did an opening. So we did have 2 companies pick up a packet, but only one company returned the packet, and that was JP Mascaro, Total Recycle.
Who was the second company?
Waste,
It was
Republic Services.
Okay. Because I talked to another company, if they would have known about it, they would have presented a bid, which we could talk about later.
We did have it in the paper twice. It was advertised twice, but.
Okay, so I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Can we discuss this before we make a motion a little bit about this? Because I'd like to throw out some facts. For example, Sunday, I was in here for 3 hours going through the bid package, okay? And then I was in here today doing work, understanding the bid package. I called the Scarrows. They had an accountant that was supposed to call me because I had some questions. They never called me. But I think there's something, did any of you look at the bid package? Did you go through this binder?
I looked at it previously, 2 months ago.
2 months, well, we didn't have this 2 months ago.
Yes, yes, we did.
We had this
Before
2
we put it out
months
to
ago?
bid.
That was the packet. This is the information for, this is the bid.
Actual-
Yeah.
Yes, so you didn't, no one looked at this except me. So I'd like to make a couple comments, and then I know you're gonna probably barrel through this and do what you want to do, but the thing is that if you understand how this operates, their numbers for 5 years, first of all, I think 5 years is too long. So their fixed costs that they're gonna charge us for the next 5 years has to have multipliers in it, because they're not gonna give us a number that's gonna hurt them 3 or 4 years down the road, okay? So that's part of it. The other part of it is, there's no incentive for them to be efficient. We don't know if their utilization rate is 100%. They may have capacity that's not being used, and we're paying for that. There's no risk for them. They're guaranteed their profit and their expenses in these numbers. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, it's amazing, because there's two fixed costs. One of it is the fixed residual cost per ton, okay? That's in this bid, it's $105. In the current contract that we're under, it was $79. That's a 33% increase. The second one is the fixed processing costs. It was $100.80 in the current contract. That's gonna go up to $149.70. That's a 48.5% increase. Overall, combined, this current contract, we're paying $179.80 fixed cost per ton. This new one will be $254.70, a 42% increase. Now, and we only have one bid. We don't have anybody to compare this with, although I talked to a company up in Hamburg, CRI. When I told them these fixed costs, they couldn't believe it. They said, that's crazy, okay? I don't know if it is or not, because we don't have a second bid. But these are very high increases, and the problem is with the commodities market. So we do this every month. They're gonna factor in what the commodity prices are for the month. And going into a recession, and that's what we're gonna be doing, you're gonna see commodity prices probably dropping. You're gonna see volumes drop because people are going to buy less. And when the price per ton that they can get for the recyclables drops, our fixed cost stays the same. They're guaranteed that we cover their cost and their profit. This is like a sucker's deal here, okay? But we can't negotiate. This is the bid. What I'd like to see us do, we have 60 days to reject or accept this bid. I would like to see us consider, CRI said that if we throw out the bid and we do a rebid, they will provide us with a bid. And I can almost guarantee you Mascaro's fixed costs are going to come down. If you want to help this community, if you really think that you're here to help this community, you need to reject this bid. We need to go out and get the other company. And they told me head-to-head against Mascaro, they had bids where one Mascaro refused to bid against them and the other one they won the bid. So I think it's in our township's best interest to at least get 2 bids.
Okay, thank you for your perspective. Michelle, do you have anything to add?
Fact.
No, I'm fine with
Okay.
going out and making sure.
One moment. I'll give you a different perspective here, because there's 2 parts to this, and I want the community to understand how this works. So, we could get a bid from Elk County, 211 miles away. That's cheaper than this, okay? But then the next bid is the trucking. We would have to truck it to Elk County. And then our trucking rates are now going to go up 500x. So because CRI, they didn't bid on it, we advertised it properly for 2 times, it's up in Hamburg. It's 30 miles.
25.
Okay, 25 miles one way instead of 2. Okay, so the trucking costs are going to be 10x of what they are in Exeter, because when a recycling truck comes around, they fill up. Okay, and they can't get overweight. They only can put so much in the truck. Then they have to drive to the facility, empty the truck, then drive back to Exeter, continue the route. Okay, so if we have 200 trips to the landfill at 2 miles a trip, okay, or 25 miles a trip for the 200. So there's 2 parts to this bid. Currently, this bid is just for the processing plant, okay, and second, which is due on October 6th, I believe, right, Larry?
I believe that's what it is.
That's for the trucking. So I guess I don't even know how that's gonna work if this wouldn't work, because the trucking bid, it's probably a per mile rate or something like that. I don't know how you have that coming. But I don't want to get off track. I just want to explain that the further away that this processing plant is from Exeter, the more it's going to cost us in trucking. And diesel fuel is going to keep going up, okay? It's not going to go down. I know these costs are higher, but if you look at the per ton price versus the cost of fuel and the time it takes to drive from here to Hamburg or from here to wherever, those are going to be significant costs that no one else is talking about. And I would just wanted to help the community understand that this isn't just a one instance, thing. We have to look at both parts.
Can I mention one thing, sir?
Sure thing.
The other thing we have to look at now, too, no offense, Mr. Hughes, but we just announced their numbers, so in a public meeting right now. So anybody bidding this could create another issue.
Well, no, what we would do is throw out the bid, they can rebid. That's what would happen. They wouldn't be committed to these numbers.
Right.
So-
That first of all, that wouldn't be fair.
First of all, you don't know what the transportation cost would be.
Well, you don't either, Mr. Hughes, and you didn't
But
even
what I
bring it
do
up.
know-
I brought up a lot.
what I do
Wait
know-
a second, you don't have the floor.
What
Okay, we have the floor. Mr. Pearsall wanted to talk. And then a gentleman from JP Mascaro's, he'd like to say a couple words here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually signed up to speak in the beginning. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to chat now. Al DeGennaro. I'm Deputy General Counsel for JP Mascaro & Sons and related entities. And one of my jobs, although I'm a lawyer, one of my jobs, I'm more involved in businesses to work on the bids. So I'm intimately familiar with this bid. I oversaw and prepared our bid. And I can tell you just as a background, talk is cheap. I've been involved in hundreds and hundreds of bids. I don't know that we've ever went head-to-head with CRI, because frankly, in this region, they can't compete with us. So for someone to suggest that they say they're going to bid at different price, that's That's foolish to suggest that in a public bidding solicitation. Your solicitor will tell you you're required to advertise it twice in a public newspaper. If they wanted to bid, they could have bid on this. I can tell you why they didn't bid on this, because they can't beat our network here. With regard to this solicitation, your specs are very detailed. It's not a sucker's price. There's two components to this bid. First of all, if you look at our bid price, the way it's set up, we have no saying in what the commodity price is. And to be fair, every municipality and every solicitation we've been involved with uses the same commodity price, because it's just like a stock market. Every month, depending upon the supply and demand, the cardboard may go up or down, the plastics may go up or down. So there's a set formula that your bid price establishes, which is consistent probably with 20 or 30 that I've seen. And that's number one. And number two, if you look at our bid, sure, we have fixed cost. You have to bid this with fixed cost. How else can you determine how you're going to approach it? So we have fixed costs, but what we also have in your bid solicitation allows is to allow us to give a percentage of the revenue, if there's revenue or profit, from the value of the recyclables. Why have they gone up now versus 5 years ago? I don't want to insult this board's intelligence. You saw what's happened in the pandemic. You saw what's happened in the supply chain. I could go on and on about the increases. Interest rates have gone up. Our labor has gone up. Our parts have gone up. So for anyone to suggest that there wouldn't be an increase 3 or 5 years ago versus now, but the most important thing is the way we've laid our solicitation out, or the way your solicitation is laid out, is when there becomes a value, a positive value to the commodities, we give you 100% of that value. So right now, since 2019, the last time your bid went off, things have changed in China. That was the big user of recyclable materials. They've used the excuse that they're not taking recyclables because they're not as virgin as they should be. But we in the industry think the real reason, and you're starting to see it, is their economy is suffering. They don't have a demand for it. And what's happened, and besides the things I've told you about that's affected the price, what's happened is right now the supply is greater than demand, because with the pandemic, people are at home. People are recycling now more than they were of 2019. You certainly don't want to go backward and discourage your community from recycling. And honestly, I take pride in the fact that I've been with this company for 32 years. We have a $20 million plant that's your neighbor right down the street. There's no one that can compete with our infrastructure. That plant was strategically built so that the recyclables that are good get shipped out and beneficially reused. The recyclables that are contaminated, or the residue, we don't have to truck them a long way. We take them about 300 to 500 yards down the road, and that gives us an advantage. No one in this area, Waste Management, a $15 billion company, did they bid on this contract? No. Republic took the bid solicitation. They're a $13 or $12 billion company. Did they bid on this contract? No. We don't compete with those companies nationwide, but I can assure you that in this area, we have the most effective and strongest and viable infrastructure, and they can't compete with us. And I also would let you know, respectfully, that in the last 18 months, if I've gone to 30 meetings where we were awarded the bid, you know how many times there was one bid? More than 50%, because this is a very challenging time in our industry to provide these services, and many of the companies, public as well as private, aren't geared up to handle what's going on right now in the industry. And we have the unique advantage because of our infrastructure here that we can handle this. This is not a sucker's bid. This is a competitive bid. I could show you information to show that in collection and transportation and other recycling, Wyoming's bid went up 100%. Now that's a collection and transportation, but this shows you what's happened. Nothing is anywhere near what it was 5 years ago, and how could it be with the economy? And the last point I want to make is, with respect to these increases, our industry has been uniquely affected. When you read about the 8 to 10% interest, well, there's not 8 to 10% interest in the waste industry. The equipment has gone up 20 to 25%. We've had to give 3 wage increases in an 18 to 24 month period to get people to come to work. So I can take pride in the fact to tell you that this is the most cost-effective and beneficial bid you would receive. And it really would be disadvantageous to throw this bid out because no one else bid on it. And why would you want to throw out a good bid? You've got a $20 million state-of-the-art recycling facility a stone's throw away. that handles these environmental issues. In fact, our company is proud of the fact that we received a multi-million-dollar grant after a national search to increase recyclables because some of these public companies, Fortune 500, General Mills, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they want to recycle more materials, and we're doing that. We've added things to the plant. So, we're a good neighbor, and I think it would be disingenuous to suggest that you should throw these bids out, because I don't know what you do. You have a hauling contract coming up, and you are correct that the biggest component of your hauling contract is where you're going to take it. I didn't look at your specs, but there's got to be a limitation that even within so many miles, you can't force a hauler to drive 3 hours to drop recyclables off. So you have a good bid. Insurance, if you went and looked at our facility and saw what we have, and you went and looked at CRI, since that was brought up, it's like a Pinto and a Rolls Royce. It's an unbelievable difference in the facility. There's no comparison to what we offer this community with respect to what CRI. And the costs have gone up because these properties are difficult to insure, and I could go on and on. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but your bid solicitation that was put out by Mr. Pearsall and your pricing sheet, it's consistent with the last 10 or 12 I've seen on recycling. It's the only way you can do it, because the only way to make it fair to the community is to say, when the recyclable market changes, and it's not going to change in the next couple of years. You saw in 2019, you had the foresight to go for 4 years. It would be foolish to not lock in for the full term, because nothing's going down, and it's a fixed price. You can see what it is for 5 years. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but clearly this is a responsible bid, and I think you should take action on it.
Okay, thank you for your insight.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the bid from JP Mascaro. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed?
No.
3-1 vote.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Supervisors report. Mr. Hughes.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. All right. Michelle?
I have nothing to bring up. I just hope everybody remembers to have a safe Halloween, especially with trick or treating, the kids out. So,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, Mr. Bell?
I just want to welcome Tony, and I look forward to seeing everybody. The next meeting, I'll be feeling better by then. Sorry not to be there tonight.
All right. I just have one thing to add to give a little bit of perspective on our lawsuit for filing for a preliminary injunction with Mr. Hughes. I reached out to PSATs, and I asked them for advice, because they are, the township supervisor organization. And, I shared with them that a supervisor was sharing client privileged information. And they said, go around it all the good ways, ask them to stop, ask them to do this, try to work with them. And I said, well, all of those things have been exhausted. And he said to file for an injunction. So we took the recommendation of PSATs. Okay, I know Mr. Hughes talks about them a lot, but they were the organization that told us, this is what you need to do, because he's breaking, or he's not breaking the law because it's not a law, but it's a fiduciary responsibility of township supervisors not to share privileged information. That's a role that we take when we swear in. So just wanted to give everybody that piece of information, because it was lacking before, and I just wanted to bring that up. So
Question, Mr.
appreciate it. Now it's time for.
Mr. Chairman, question.
I'm not
So
entertaining a
PSATs
question.
gave you legal advice?
No, they didn't give me legal advice.
said they
They
gave
suggested this is what you can do to fix the problem. So,
Full legal advice?
no, it's not. Like to have public comment now for non-agenda items. Donna Merritt?
Donna Merritt, Glenolly Farms, Exeter Township. I just wanted to ask if anybody noticed the cracks in the brick stamped crosswalks, especially like right where the school buses come out. all those crosswalks that are brick, I don't know if they're stamped or real brick, they look kind of stamped, there's cracks all over them. They're brand new, aren't they?
Yes, they're stamped. It was done in the first phase, but I'll talk to the contractor.
Yeah, that's the only one I know of. I don't know about the other ones. You might want to check them too, but
Okay.
only because I put signs out near there that I was aware of that.
Thank you.
And also, in regards to what you were just talking about, Mr. Vollmer, why are you taking them to court, really? I mean, it's with our money. How much is this going to cost taxpayers for you guys to flex your muscles? Okay, I understand you don't like what he's doing, but taking them to court with our tax dollars, I mean, is there no end? The amount of money that you guys like to spend of taxpayer money is mind-blowing to me, and I wish you would just stop.
Okay, thank you.
Be adults and find another way.
Well, if you have another way, Ms. Merritt, I would love to hear it that would work.
I will figure something out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, stand up.
All right. Tony Ronaldo.
Tony Ronaldo, Exeter Township. I want to talk about the ARL contract. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about it first, though. But before that, I'll take an opportunity to thank the board for selecting me as your new supervisor. And I want to also thank the residents here. And I promise you that I will be committed to putting the residents' needs at the forefront of every decision. So on to the ARL contract, as you all had already mentioned, the cost is just astronomical. And I did a lot of the math myself as well. So the only thing I will say, and not repeat much, is it's a huge decision to make. And if we are going to leave the ARL, and I'm okay with that because it's just not feasible financially, but we do have to keep in mind that there's no going back to them because of the new rate of $7 afterwards, because that would cost nearly $200,000 per year. So I'm open to getting some other services in here, seeing what they have to offer as well. And I do also like that they said that they would provide some training maybe to our police department. So maybe look into that as well, see what they can offer, even though we don't go with them, if they could offer some training for us or give us some tips on handling things. I know they did that last year with the incidents that we had up in my neighborhood. They seemed to be pretty helpful, even though we weren't contracted with them at that time. So that's all I have. Thank you all.
Just so I can respond to Mr. Ronaldo's statement there, I just want to let you know that was speaking with Manager Pearsall, is we have 6 officers on a platoon. I'm looking at, and we have 4 platoons, we work 12-hour shifts. I'm looking at possibly, if we don't go with the Animal Rescue League, trying to get an officer on each platoon trained as some type of animal, control officer, some type of training, so we have somebody working all the time that can handle these situations. It's something we're looking at providing if we don't go with Animal Rescue League. So so we are looking at other options.
Great, thank you.
Cool. After Mr. Howell. Mr. Howell?
Tom Howe, Post Office Box 4635. What wasn't mentioned in the finance with the 10 million CDs is how much interest the public has made. Last year, you took that interest and put it in the budget. You didn't turn it over and have it earn more interest. The chief said that there was 33 crashes. I'm assuming that the fire company came to all 73 crashes. The other thing is the fire station, $10 to $15 million. I don't believe I heard that was only for the construction of the building and didn't include equipment, desks and stuff like that.
It did include that. He had it as a line item. It was soft costs.
The cost is in for equipment too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the other thing is, I understand this went a long time in 2012. I don't want to see this jammed down our throats. This reminds me of the sale of the sewer plant, if that occurs. If you go to the 2012 minutes, the meeting after the special meeting on April the 30th, Ken Smith states how many people wrote in and what their comments were. The same thing is you can find out what the costs were from some of those minutes. It's not really hard. It's very easy to do. There was no statement, a ballpark of when this will be finished, and all the rest of the stuff. The other thing is, in 2012, it was mentioned about impervious surface. That property over there is connected to this property and is used for that calculation. So I don't know what you're going to do about that. I don't believe anybody should get special treatment. The public has to go by those things besides. The other thing is the $1.1 million. Is that the $1 million that Mr. Mascaro gave to the fire company? It wasn't really said. The $428,000 was stated that that was fundraising over the last 10 or 11 years. The other fact is we had a public meeting in a school for the other 2012. I don't know why you would not have a public meeting. Those people pay fire tax.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Mrs. Merritt? Probably be best, then you get in the microphone.
I was just curious, if we don't use the Animal Rescue League, where else do we go? I wouldn't even know.
Well, right now, Chief and Larry,
Right.
they're discussing different possibilities. We don't know that yet, and it'll be brought back up at another public meeting
Okay.
to discuss. And if anyone has any ideas, let us know, because it's,
We don't want a gap,
no,
for sure.
right, because
Right.
we have service until December 31st.
Okay, okay.
That's why we wanted to do this now and get it on the forefront as soon as we found out about it. We got it on the agenda to talk.
Thank you, that was my question.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.